Thank you, and thank you to the Brussels Blockchain Week organizers, as well as FTI Consulting, for inviting me here and providing me this opportunity to speak today. So I was listening to the panel that just ended before lunch, and I was listening to the panelists complaining about the state of European regulation. And based on my accent, you can probably tell which set of regulations I tend to focus on. And as somebody who's worked with Gary Gensler for 14 years, I would trade one of my limbs to have your regulatory problems. No, it's quite an interesting time because we have on the one hand, we have a growing constructive approach to regulation in MiCA, which is definitely 2 steps forward, maybe even 3 steps forward, 1 step back in general. While in some jurisdictions, like the US, we're seeing kind of moving in the opposite direction. And it's easy to kind of get lost in the policy dialogue and lose sight of what's happening at a broader level. So it's an incredible time to be talking about DeFi and the future of global finance. Here I am, this guy with an American accent, works for a protocol built in the US, but available to anybody with a mobile phone. And talking to you about DeFi and the future of global finance. This confluence of person, place, and topic is a kind of timestamp that reflects our unique position in space and time. A record of sorts in an immutable ledger of space-time. I may be dating myself, but I grew up in what is now apparent as in the end of the golden age of Hollywood. Some of you in this room, maybe those with gray hairs, may remember the movie E.T. In the movie E.T., the alien E.T. Needs help getting home. He befriends a group of kids, and they help him build a communicator to famously let E.T. phone home. Reflecting the technology of the time, the communicator the kids built for E.T. resembles a phone. E.T.'s phone included a coffee can attached to an umbrella handle, filled with electrical wires to provide power, a UHF television tuner, and a walkie-talkie. If E.T.'s phone were produced today, we can think of other ways E.T. could call his home back. It's hard to imagine with the precedent of our ubiquitous internet and the tether of our smartphones that E.T. didn't have a galactic communication system to use, that he could easily use to reconnect to his family. With inspiration from movie lore like E.T., let's zoom out from this conference room and from Brussels and take a more universal perspective. Some of you may have heard of the Kardashev scale. The Kardashev scale was developed by the Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev, which would measure the technological advancement of a civilization based on its ability to harness energy. He proposed 3 categories. Type 1 civilizations can harness and use all the technology, all the energy available on their planet. Type 2 in their solar system, Type 3 in their galaxy. Kardashev's scale is purely theoretical, but I think it provides a useful framework to put in context our current moment and our future as a species. Some say we're at about the development level of a 0.7 on the Kardashev scale. Humanity has moved up in its Kardashev status in the past few hundred years with 2 milestones accelerating its ability to harness the energy of our sun. First is the global energy market, beginning with coal, through to the rise of global oil, and today with the rise of renewables. Second is the development of a global, or indeed universal communication protocol, the internet. The internet enables coordination across the globe, including the coordination needed for all of us from our respective places on the planet to come here at Brussels Blockchain Week. The global energy markets enable the efficient allocation of energy potential, connecting the sources of energy to consumers, enabling historically unprecedented levels of prosperity and specialization. We would be living in the world of gunpowder empires if it wasn't for coal. We'd be relying on the horse and carriage for urban transportation if it wasn't for hydrocarbons like oil. The internet, meanwhile, has enabled information to flow with limited, albeit slowly increasing, friction across the globe, enabling global coordination of activities, peoples, markets, and capital. We would be living in the world of ET's phone if it wasn't for the internet. Now, how does DeFi fit into this? So the Bitcoin protocol, which we can call the first DeFi protocol, represents the offspring of two of the Kardashev 1 technologies: energy and a proof-of-work consensus mechanism to secure a ledger of financial transactions that is recorded in an immutable and transparent ledger available to anybody with internet access. DeFi enables a future that we in this room, one way or another, are helping create. In the movie Back to the Future, 1985, Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox, travels back in time to 1955, and he meets his parents before they met. He accidentally changes the course of history, and his parents don't get together. In the end, Marty has to use his knowledge of the future to fix things and make sure that his parents get back together so that he can exist. Our current moment in DeFi reminds me of the mission before Marty McFly. It has the potential to change the course of history, and it's up to us to use it wisely. DeFi can connect the world financially in a way the internet has enabled people to communicate and coordinate globally. DeFi can help us envision a future we can bring to life if we use our imaginations, like the kids in ET. Today, on the eastern edge of the EU's border, war is raging. Tens of thousands have been killed, millions displaced, and their livelihoods disrupted irreparably. DeFi, as in crypto payments and fintech apps like Dia, are now providing a lifeline to Ukrainians in need. For those that don't know, the Dia app allows Ukrainian citizens to use digital documents in their smartphones instead of physical ones for identification and sharing purposes. Dia's features include tutorials on how to fly drones and shoot them down, receive refugee payments, including in crypto, report the activities of Russian troops, and apply for reconstruction funds when bombs destroy their homes. Quoting USAID's head, Samantha Power, Dia is Ukraine's best kept secret. We should all envy it. Dia is a template for a future where almost anyone in the world will have access to basic civic and financial services on their mobile phone. And this is a future that's going to be powered by DeFi. To the south and east of the EU, tens of thousands of refugees a year brave a dangerous passage into Europe. These refugees are leaving their troubled homelands and those of their forebears for greener pastures. Each refugee has their own unique struggle and their own unique reason and their unique hopes and dreams, but a common thread among many of them is a lack of opportunity, including access to capital and inability to monetize their productive capacity of their labor. Last month, I was talking to an Uber driver on my way to a conference not unlike this one, and I met a young father from Côte d'Ivoire who was saving up capital from his fares to expand his thriving small business in Abidjan. Local banks would only allow him to borrow based on 2 years of financials, also requiring him to post his personal property as collateral and charging exorbitant 20+% interest rates. At home in Côte d'Ivoire, my Ivorian acquaintance had true unattractive choices: self-fund and grow slowly, while competitors might come and supersede his business by having greater scale and access to capital, or risk economic ruin by taking out expensive and risky loans. The global labor market gave him a third option: go to a capital-rich economy like the US and earn sweat equity to expand his operations in Abidjan. DeFi provides a fourth option that we can unlock in our timeline's future: access to a human-sized global capital market. DeFi microfinance loans are now being used by Mercy Corps and others, including USAID, to provide this alternative, with an example of farmers in Kenya now able to obtain capital for less than 1/2 the rates offered by local Kenyan banks. At Uniswap, we've built a global price discovery protocol that has enabled cross-border FX payments that are 80% cheaper than traditional financial rails, enabling laborers in developed worlds to send their money back home at very low FX rates, up to 80% cheaper than traditional financial rails. These use cases provide us a view into the future that we should want to create. One where opportunity leaves no corner of the globe in the shadows. To unlock this Kardashev One future, opportunity should flow seamlessly across the globe, and DeFi is essential toward achieving this. There's something in this future for everyone. If you have a global and progressive outlook like myself, DeFi can accelerate the march of progress globally, fueling equitable economic development in ways unimaginable just 20 years ago. If you're business-minded, it is easy to imagine the investment and trade opportunities that will come from a reduced trust surface area enabled by DeFi and digitalization. If you're a cultural conservative, concerned about migrants in your country, then DeFi enables exporting prosperity on zero-sum terms, enabling labor to be productive anywhere, reducing the need for migrants to migrate. I will add that the enhanced access and lower costs, and therefore productivity yields from financial activity that DeFi enables can further be accelerated through the development of AI. At the root of the transformative potential of both of these technologies is automation. Both technologies enable a degree of automation unimaginable to generations before us. It's not only those of us in the DeFi industry working to make this a reality, policymakers also play a very important role. Most importantly, policymakers can create an environment that fosters innovation while protecting consumers and investors. This can include developing clear and consistent regulations, and MiCA is a strong step in the right direction. I'm going to close my speech today with reference to a third movie starring everyone's favorite Belgian movie action superstar. In the 1994 movie Time Cop, Jean-Claude Van Damme portrays Max Walker, a time-traveling agent of the Time Enforcement Commission. That's kind of a little bit of a scary agency that he's working for, who's tasked with preventing the misuse of time travel technology. In a pivotal moment in the film, Van Damme's character discovers a plot by corrupt individuals who plan to exploit time travel by going back in time to manipulate the market crash of 1929 for their own financial gain. He realizes that the unchecked centralized control over time travel and knowledge of the future could have devastating consequences, as it would allow a select few to wield disproportionate power and abuse others. Van Damme tried to prevent these centralized actors' misuse of power by blocking their ability to exercise such power, using his deft martial arts skills. DeFi similarly tries to prevent centralized actors' misuse of power by limiting and decentralizing it. Just as importantly as decentralizing finance and the internet, DeFi also disrupts the inertia and protectiveness that prevents innovation that can unlock our potential Kardashev One future as a species. DeFi allows ambitious innovators like Vitalik, Hayden, or Satoshi to build new tools to solve age-old problems, to deliver social value to the broader world, to inspire hope in the form of decentralizing technologies without the blessing of incumbents constrained by their primary goal to preserve current revenue sources and structurally averse to the risk that innovation brings. But even for the banks, there is something from DeFi, a much lower cost way of delivering financial services and a far expanded customer base to deliver financial services and products into. Now, Back to the Future and Time Cop describe worlds where space and time could be amended. This is a fantasy, of course. Our timeline is recorded in the immutable ledger of space and time, and my hope for all of us is that this ledger will reflect well on us, on our descendants, that we have tried and succeeded in creating a better world. When that future is written, it will be written both in space-time as well as the universal programmable ledgers and the fairer and more equitable financial system that we're all contributing to. Thank you all very much.